We are Caitlin and Blair, currently traveling with my parents through New England to see what it's like in the fall. We're off to the Pilgrim's second landing spot, Plymouth. If you didn't already know, Plymouth is where the Pilgrims settled in 1620 after they went to Provincetown and made the Mayflower Compact and came here. Mom, since you haven't been to Plymouth Rock, we're gonna film your expression, okay?
Okay.
Okay, of Plymouth Rock, because we've seen it already.
It feels like it's imprisoned, like it's done something wrong.
1620. You're sad for the Pilgrims. You're sad for the rock. It's so small. They were really excited about it.
Elders probably like, oh yeah, it's definitely this one.
Do you know any fun facts about the Mayflower?
Took what, 3 months?
He's close. It took 66 days for the Mayflower to travel with its 102 passengers from Plymouth, England to Provincetown. This is the Mayflower II that was designed as a reproduction of the 17th century vessel, the Mayflower. And it was even built in England and sailed to the US in 1957. This is our first covered bridge. Walking covered bridge. We are on a mission to see as many covered bridges in New England as possible, but more on that later. We're covered and we're on a bridge.
There's some red leaves.
Yeah, we got some red leaves.
We're at the Louisa May Alcott Orchard House in Concord, Massachusetts. And this is where Louisa May wrote Little Women, one of my favorite books.
And it takes place here too.
Yeah, she wrote it about herself.
The first part of the tour takes you to the Concord School of Philosophy that is located in the backyard of the house. Louisa's father Amos had this constructed, and for 8 years, over 2,000 people from across the country and around the world, many of them women, attended presentations held in this school. Amos is seriously the coolest guy. He was a progressive educator and leader of transcendentalism, which is a term for a movement in the 19th century of writers and philosophers in New England who were loosely bound together by an adherence to an idealistic system. Basically, they believe people are born good, they possess a power called intuition, and that they can come closer to God through nature. What's not to love about this? They didn't allow cameras in the home, but I really recommend this tour for several reasons. 1, Louisa May Alcott literally wrote the book The Little Women at a desk in this house. 2, there have been no major structural changes and 80% of the furnishings on display were owned by the Alcott, so it looks very close to what it looked like when they all lived here. 3, you get to learn so much about this family and how progressive they were, and obviously I became obsessed with Amos. One more thing. They were really good friends with the author Nathaniel Hawthorne, who lived just up the road in this house. To illustrate just how close that was, watch this while I talk. The Alcotts actually lived in that house for a few years and used the house to serve as a station on the Underground Railroad. Louisa and her family knew the risks of helping runaway slaves, but still dedicated themselves to the effort. Okay, 2 more quick things. In the book Little Women, Joe's dad goes to the war. Father! But in reality, it was Louisa May Alcott that went to war, not her dad. And Amos was a vegetarian, which seems crazy for that time.
They might have a gift shop.
My mom was very excited to be at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, which is Concord's largest and only active public cemetery. Concord is home to some amazing authors and their rotting bodies. You can take the Authors Ridge route and visit the graves of some of your favorite authors. Wow, hers is like not very grand. Look, people put pens. So I actually lived in Concord for a few months when I was working on the movie Slender Man. And I used to go to this restaurant because they had really good food and live music sometimes. We're having terrible luck getting colored trees, so we're in a Target parking lot and we found some. On our way to Vermont, we did a quick stop to visit our friend Kia in Holderness, New Hampshire. She lives just down the road from Squam Lake, where they shot the movie on Golden Pond. So pretty. We're in Vermont.
Yay!
Yay! We took like a really long drive, but we're here.
13 hours.
And we are staying in a 1-bedroom suite with my parents. So we're in the living room on a pull-out couch. We woke up and the leaves were super pretty. So now we're gonna drive around.
Ready. So we're gonna go drive around while the oldies slowly wake up.
Loaded. First covered bridge. Besides leaves, covered bridges are super iconic to New England. At least 1,000 covered bridges were constructed in New England, and only 200 of them remain. And we are going to see all of them. Just kidding. We're going to see at least 6. In 19th century New England, bridge makers were focused on one thing only, and that was the longevity of the bridge structure. So the roofs were not constructed to protect travelers. Instead, the roof and sidings were to block New England weather from damaging the heavy interior beams and timber. That some bridges are haunted.
The young farmer's daughter, Emily, sometime in the past, perhaps in 1849, deserted by the man she loved on the day of their intended wedding. In despair, she took her life at the bridge. Some believe her spirit haunts Emily's bridge, especially on moonlit nights, waiting for her man to return. The legend of Emily continues to fascinate many.
And her ghost has returned.
We're gonna go ask about a maple syrup tour.
Whoa, look at all their ribbons. Wow. This video basically explains the whole process of maple syrup making from tree to bottle.
All right, so what we learned is when the sugar comes out of the tree, maple tree, in the spring, when it first starts to come out, it's 4% sugar, and so it doesn't take as long to evaporate the water out of it, so that's why it has such a light color. Later in the season, when they measure it again, it's only 3% sugar, so it takes longer to evaporate the water out of it, and that's how you get like the darker, more robust maple flavors. So if you have a really light maple syrup, it was early in the season when that got produced, and the darker one is later in the season. And I can work here now.
So here are the taste testers.
This is the darkest. So this would be like the latest in the season. They had to boil it the longest.
I like that.
All right,
It is good.
I want to try the dark.
Dad is blown away.
That's delicious.
I really like the
I'm
very
gonna
dark.
get the very dark, like a little one here.
Vermont is the largest producer of maple syrup in the U.S. and is the first state that established a strictly enforced maple law. What does it take to make 1 gallon of maple syrup, you ask? Find 4 maple trees that are at least 40 years old growing in the mountains. Use a 5/16 drill bit to tap 1 1/2 inches into a tree, put the tap in, and put a bucket to collect. Get a gathering crew to climb up the mountains daily in March and April for 6 weeks to collect the dripping sap and haul it to the sugar house. Use 40 gallons of sap boiled down in the evaporator to concentrate the sweet sap water into 1 gallon of maple syrup. Use the hydrometer to check the density and pour the syrup through a filter fabric, and there you go. You have maple syrup.
Claire, what are you about to try?
Creamy, which is like a local ice cream that they put very dark maple syrup in, and we're adding walnuts.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you taste the maple syrup?
Yeah.
All right, I want to try
So the
it.
maple syrup like tastes almost like burnt marshmallows.
All right, signing off.
First taste. You like it?
Look at the color. You can like see how the maple syrup turned it, because it just
Hold on,
starts as vanilla, and then they add in their darkest maple syrup, and now it's like a tan color.
I know. It's so good. I only want this flavor.
There you go.
What does it taste like?
Smooth, not real sweet. Scent of maple, really nice and not overwhelming.
Everybody likes it.
We're in Montpelier in front of the State House. It is the smallest by population capital of all the states in the U.S. I think only like 7,000 people live here. It's really cute.
We're at Rabble Rousers.
Rabble or rebel?
Rabble. Rabble Rousers.
Rabble.
And I'm having a oat milk latte, and it's delicious. I bought a dark chocolate vulva.
How come?
Well, one, I like dark chocolate, and also the other reason is because $1 per vulva purchase goes to the organizations fighting for reproductive rights and abortion access.
You dropped some. Is it good?
It's good. This is the Trapp Family Lodge, as in this Von Trapp family.
So, I need a pulling thread. Re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so, do.
I know, who knew? After having fled Austria in 1938 with no belongings, they made a life for themselves with the Trapp family singers for 6 months out of the year. And in 1941, they purchased this farm in Vermont because it reminded them of Austria. After they retired from singing, they welcomed friends around the world to the Trapp Family Lodge. And over the years, they welcomed vacationers to stay here during all of the seasons. Yeah. We just finished the tour, and it was really awesome. We were like kind of TBDing it because we weren't sure. The website didn't really say that much info.
Trapp Lodge. Fix your website.
Fix your website. Because we got here and we're like, we kind of know what we're doing. So then we went to the gift shop and asked what the tour was. And the guy didn't really sell us on it. So we still did it anyways. And it was cool. They told us like all about the family.
The similarities and differences between the movie version and the real life version.
And you get to see a documentary with the real Maria. And she's so funny and cool.
Maria, are you stubborn?
I'm afraid so.
They have a lot of outdoor activities like mountain biking, snowshoeing, backcountry skiing that you can use on all of their trails. That's so cool. So you can rent bikes and bike on their trails. Look at this. We haven't walked in a woods like this.
No.
We're walking to the chapel on one of their trails that they have. We learned a lot.
Well, I didn't know that Maria had 3 more kids.
Me neither, yeah.
So that's cool. They like did a whole life together.
There were 10 kids total, 7 at the beginning.
Yeah, with the first wife.
The
She
first
passed
wife.
away, remarried, 3 more. The kids basically orchestrated their marriage.
Yeah, that was a cool story. The kids were like saying that they really wanted Maria to stay and he had to marry her. And he was like, well, I don't even know if she likes me. And then they went and asked Maria and she's like, well, what am I going to say to them? So she said, of course I do. Oh, later that night he was like, oh, that was very nice of you. And she's like, what? And he's like, well, aren't we engaged? So then she ran to the abbey to talk to her nuns, sisters about it. And then they said they prayed about it. And they said that she was supposed to get married to him. And
that was like God's will. So then she started crying.
She started crying, so then she got back to the house. How do you say his name? Georg? Anyways, the dad was like, so? And then she goes, they said I have to marry you. And started crying because she wanted to be a nun forever. So if you're not staying at the lodge, you can do the tour for $18, which includes everything else, like the trails and all that that's around. If you just want to do the trails, you can just get a day pass, which I think is like $10. I like it. It's not like too sweet. It's perfect. It's like a plain donut, but like with a little bit of apple.
We are going to the Ben & Jerry's flavor graveyard where discontinued flavors go to die, and then you can vote to see which ones are going to get resurrected.
Wow, yeah, Sugar Plum didn't go well. Dave Matthews Band's Magic Brownies. They tried to bring this one back like 3 times. Normally, there's like a really long line, I guess, because we just walked past the sign that said 40-minute wait time.
But it's not crazy because remember how long the line was at Tillamook and we didn't wait in it, so.
That's true, we did not. We've been staying at my grandparents' timeshare in Smuggler's Notch, which is a ski resort right in between Stowe, Vermont and Cambridge. For things to do in and around Burlington, we turned to Atlas Obscura. We're trying to find the Earth clock, and I think this is a theme because it's the off season and they're like deciding to do construction. If you're gonna come to Vermont, really try to pick maybe the tail end of the season so that more things are open, because a lot's not. I've just dropped Blair off because the path that we need to go down is closed and it says no cars, so she's gonna go see if she can walk down to it, and I'm gonna park somewhere. We're determined to see this sundial. I found it. Yes, there it is, sundial. So the Burlington Earth Clock is a 43.5-foot circle of 14 granite stones that creates a clock, compass, and a calendar. Time to test this out. We'll see if it knows what time it is. So you stand on the closest date and it thinks it is almost 12. Let's look at the clock. It's not totally wrong. It's 12:16, so maybe I'm either doing it wrong or my shadow's off, or it's just a little off. It's close enough. Oh, you know what? Maybe if I stand right here. Not terrible. Okay, so I think I figured it out. It has to do with daylight savings time too. So if I'm on near the end of October and it says it's almost 12, I subtract an hour, or I add an hour, which means it's almost 1. I gotta look this up. I wish Caitlin was here. I'm kind of confused. I'll get back to you. Welcome to the world's largest filing cabinet. It was built in 2002 by Ren Alvarez, and it's made of 38 filing cabinet drawers. Vermont, it's got some weird stuff. Now we're driving by a birdhouse forest where there's just a bunch of birdhouses and wooden dinosaurs. But you can't actually go on it for some reason. It's private property. I don't know why somebody would build it, make it cool looking, and then not let us in it. Now we're looking for 4 miniature castles built by this guy. He was in a mining accident that took off one of his pinkies and built these castles. We found our second castle. These things are hard to find, but we're doing it.
It's satisfying though when you find it. That was like a scavenger hunt. We did it.
Yeah, we did.
And it was worth it.
That was cool.
They were so cute. Like, they're like made out of little pebbles.
Next up, we go to Maine.
Fun fact number 1, Portland, Oregon was founded by 2 New Englanders.
Well, we're in Portland, Maine.
Yeah, but isn't that cool?
We're gonna get on the Amtrak, take it to Penn Station, and then get on, and it's taking us to Chicago. And then we're going from Chicago to Montana. We're doing room at 5 and 6.
Get on the train.
Okay.
This is home.
How do you get up there?
What are your parents gonna do?
I don't know, but we gotta put our luggage somewhere. This is not gonna fit. Wow.
They said that stone 1619 is over here someplace.
There's not.
Oh, shut up.
They numbered the stones.
What is that?
Seatbelts?
Oh. Cheese. You got cheese on the ground.
I know.
The joys of eating in the car. It is hot, but it's good, right? Tastes like nothing bad is in it.